Great. Shows us live on our YouTube page. It looks like Facebook too, so I just want to check.
Just trying to get a link here.
I know. It's okay. It takes it a second to start showing up and everything to be able to share it out.
Here, I'll put
You can use the private chats.
that chat or that link would be going to sorry.
You're okay.
That I'll mention that in the update. It's for Dr. Cog, kind of Civic Academy.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Well, I'm starting to see a few people start to join us. So as you all are beginning to tune in with us onto our Monday morning broadcast, you know we like to see who you are, and you can let us know by reacting to the video. You can also start commenting, and then I'll just go ahead and move right into some of our housekeeping. For those of you that are first-time viewers, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this broadcast, I want to thank you for taking the time to tune in and get updated on all things going on in your community so you can be a better informed, whether it's a resident, business owner, or visitor in our area. Now, I do want to encourage you, if you're a first-time viewer, to make sure that you're hitting the alert button to get notifications when we go live. Make sure you're following the page, that you like the page. Not only are we streaming this on Facebook, or we also have it streamed over on our YouTube channel as well. Now, if you are coming back to us, then I want to thank you for being with us for over 2 years now since we've held these broadcasts. And many of you already know my asks. That's to hit the share button on this video so others in your network can see that we're live and can tune in with us and join in on this conversation. You can also, of course, begin to react to the video and set expectation of others that they can also engage with us or provide us comments through that route as well. Now, if you do provide us any comments or thoughts, we will be able to see them on our end. We'll be able to display them as we are right now with this first one, which has come through from City Councilor Rich Seymour. Good morning to you as well. Rich, Councilor Seymour, thank you for tuning in to the broadcast with Councilor Nurmela and I. Now, Mondays, we like to give as a platform for our elected officials at the local level to share some updates on things that are going on, things that are of interest that we want you to know about. And this week, I'm excited to have Councilor Nurmela with us. It's been a little bit since I have had her on here, so would love to hear kind of what's going on in her world, what's going on in city, and all things that we should be able to know by this point.
Yeah, well, I will say it's been a busy summer. I don't know how it's already over.
Right.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm sure there are many of you that are like me, getting school supplies and getting, feeling a little bit behind potentially. It's, yeah, the last weekend we have 3 kids, and they're all in soccer, and they all had a tournament. 2 different cities, luckily not 3, but it's been very busy. And I know we've had a lot of community events, including we had a historic Westminster event on Saturday, which I did not get to because I was going in between 42 different locations. But I'm hoping it'll die down once school starts. Doesn't sound right, but yeah. So and we've been busy on council as well. Just because it's summer does not mean we don't take a break, and I feel like we've been going 100 miles an hour since we started. We earlier in the year, we set our strategic plan, and that took a lot of effort. And then we dove into our city manager recruitment. And so that was very busy through the month of July. And we can talk a little bit more about that. But obviously, we've made an announcement, and that you'll see coming to council, not tonight, but next week, a contract for that. And I'm sure you all, we can dive into it a little bit. We had 3 candidates, one of whom is our existing temporary city manager, Jody Andrews. We had Jennifer Phillips. And then we had, I think I got her name right. Sorry if I'm killing it. And then we have Mark Freitag. And so we're moving forward with Mark Freitag, as everyone probably
has seen. Yes, or if they haven't, then here is the news for them. The link is included in the chat section. I've displayed it for you all that are tuned in to read more about this final candidate that's been selected. So the next step from here is really for that contract to be drafted, it sounds like. And then when is the expectation of Mark actually starting with the city? Is he already here? I'm sure these are some thoughts that people already have at this point in time.
Yeah. So a lot of city managers have contracts with their existing cities that require them to give pretty ample notice. So he had a requirement to give about 60 days. And so I'm not entirely sure from when he is giving notice, if he's already done it, or if he is waiting until we finalize the contract on next Monday, which it would come before the council on whatever Monday is, the 20th, 21st, I don't know. I've lost track of dates. And so he has 60 days, like I said, for that notice. Then he has to move himself out here and get settled in the city. So I don't think he has a start date yet, but it's probably not going to be for another couple of months. We are well established with Jody Andrews kind of providing that temporary leadership. So I don't feel like there'll be any type of gap in our process or progress as a community during that time.
And Jody isn't leaving the city, and that's kind of a clarification for folks as well. He would retain his role kind of prior to moving into the interim. Is that still accurate?
As far as I know, yeah, he was our deputy city manager, and he will move back into that role.
Awesome. We do have a couple of folks that are on here. Our current board chairman, Brian Dice, giving a good morning message and thanking you for the update, Councilor Nurmela. And this is not a typo. This is another Brian that is tuned in and giving us another good morning message our way. We've got Councilor Nurmela with us. Really started off with some of the back to school activity that's going on right now that a lot of you, I'm sure, are going through. I've started seeing those backpack photos and then and now and all that good stuff fill up my feed. So it is the time for families to be staying busy and active. And council, of course, is no different. They've continued to be active throughout the summer months. So with the event this past Saturday, and then, of course, this recent announcement on the city manager selection. So that's where we are for all of you that are starting to hop on right now with us and tuning in. What else is on your radar, Councilor Nurmela?
Oh, for sure. We are getting into, and we've been sort of getting some budget sessions going just with study sessions and then special study sessions. We had one 2 weeks ago on a Saturday, and just getting ready for our budget sessions that will be in October, and then adopting it in the fall. So we're looking at the 2023 budget and putting some emphasis on things that we've established in our strategic plan, particularly around core services. I think one of the things that We heard a lot from the community in our community survey was just a need for improvements to our infrastructure, and so that is definitely a focus for us. Particularly for roads and sidewalks, because those we are on every day. So, and you can't not look away. So that's coming, continuing to come to council that we're working on. I'm trying to think of what else we've got. Tonight we're getting a presentation from the Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport, and we have, that airport. It's in Jeffco. It's one of the challenges with the airport is that we don't really have control over how it's used and how busy it gets. The Federal Aviation Agency, they are the FAA, they are the ones who kind of control the types of traffic they send there. And, we have established communities and neighborhoods around the area, and it does have a broader impact for any of us that are in the flight path or, just in the surrounding area with noise and vibration. So we actually have been on I'm trying to remember what the exact name of this, maybe Rich Seymour might have it in it since I know you're online here. The airport coalition that we had with a bunch of other communities that are impacted by the airport, and it's been a challenge to see things change. And I think one of the things is that we just don't have as much control and power to make the changes that we'd like to see, like not having as big of aircraft or the timing of training sessions and how often they're running. And so that's definitely on our radar. Thank you, the Community Noise Roundtable.
Yes. And for those of you that haven't heard the presentation and data and details from the airport, they have done considerable work from the feedback that's been provided, studies, and have pulled kind of historical points for folks that are interested in learning more. So I would encourage you, as Councilor Nurmela is visiting on this, and that this is a conversation this evening, to just hop on, log on, and you can do that now from Facebook because the city's been streaming on Facebook for a while. Of course, you can find their link on YouTube. And what I've done is include the agenda for you all to be able to follow along with the comments that we're making right now about council meeting tonight. There does look like there is a pre-session as well, but that is more of like an employee annual review is my understanding quickly of tonight's activity. But I have included that link for those of you that might be interested in seeing that as well.
Yeah, and also tonight, we kind of, excited to see what our business survey, because that's very related to the chamber. Just kind of hear what our businesses are saying. So that's going to be presented tonight. And then we also have a presentation on Federal Boulevard. So a big arterial that goes through Westminster, and it has varied character throughout the city. And so and safety, that's a big issue. It's a very speedy roadway through the city, and it carries a lot of people through all modes. And so this study has been looking at with Adams County and Denver. It's been a joint study that is looking at how can we make this a safer and more efficient roadway. And that includes for buses and bicyclists and pedestrians in addition to cars. So there's some very interesting information on there that I think that even if you can't join tonight, it's worthwhile just to, the great thing is like the agenda, the staff memo actually gives great information that you don't have to go through the entire study. It just highlights the key takeaways. And as you're seeing the potential, there's the potential for improvements to start pretty soon here, and you would probably want to understand what they are. A lot of them are trying to improve our bus time frames, and therefore make that a more of an option for people to take. With the improvements that they've designed, it's taking like 12 minutes off of time, what do you want to call it? Like travel times for going down from Federal and Westminster down to into the Denver area. So that's pretty significant.
Oh, yeah,
And
12 minutes on that road, it probably feels about 20, if not more, right? Just being behind that wheel.
yeah, the improvements will have impacts to traveling on Federal. I mean, you'll see in the memo it's about 2 minutes, potentially longer in some areas going southbound on Federal during peak hours. But that with the changes, which would include a dedicated bus and right turn lane, so you can always get in the right lane and take a right and bypass a lot of the traffic. But getting that dedicated lane for buses, that's the key to that 12-minute cut on the times for travel. So it's just getting everybody and more people traveling down the road. So again, I would pick that thing up and at least check out.
Glance through it. Yes.
Yeah.
State Representative Shannon Bird is tuned in. Thank you, Shannon, for hopping onto our broadcast with us this morning. She was actually out in our community. It feels like, I want to say last week, but it may have been the week before, when we had her visit a few of our small businesses. So thank you for engaging with us in our community and hearing some of our comments and concerns. We also had a quick question come through, Councilor, that I wanted to make sure we pulled up before we got more comments, and then I ignored. So this one came our way from Brian Head, and Brian is sharing that as a planner professionally, are there any trends or things that you as a counselor see across the industry that could impact Westminster?
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Brian. I love answering planning questions. I think the big thing for us is the growth in the traffic that we're experiencing. Westminster is kind of a pass through on a lot of our major arterials. And so you look at 120th, you look at Federal and Sheridan and Wadsworth, we're in the middle of it. And there is growth happening all around us. Thornton is looking to grow 2 times its size.
Wow.
Broomfield is growing significantly at a much higher rate than Westminster. Westminster, we've really, we're almost at, the edge of our build out, right? We don't have a lot of green development areas left. A lot of it's just going to be infill and small stuff. What's happening around us, though, we can't control, but we can work with our other jurisdictions, our neighboring jurisdictions, to make improvements like the Federal Boulevard improvements. If we can get bus rapid transit along there, that will certainly help. And that's something that Dr. Cog, our Denver Regional Council of Governments, is trying to advance in order to meet some of our air quality requirements with the state regulations that have now placed us more of an emphasis on reducing our greenhouse gas emissions throughout the region. So working collaboratively, we can make improvements, but I think everyone should be aware that a lot of that traffic is our neighboring growth. And I think in terms of other things that are happening planning wise, there's still, I think, demand for growth and the need for providing more housing in the region as a whole. We're kind of slowing down as a state in terms of our rapid growth that we've seen over the past 10 years of people moving in, and we're also not generating a lot. We're reducing our growth rate. Our death rate has actually increased. So I would say our population is stabilizing a little bit more, but there's we're all kind of hit by this huge increase in housing costs, and then add that in with inflation. I think we're all going to be feeling it. One of the things that might be interesting if you want to look a little bit further into just what's happening economy-wise, we had a great presentation from our staff and our CU. We had a group from called UC Boulder come in and give us a revenue forecast. And with that, it gave us a bit of an economic overview of what's potentially going to happen in 2023, 2024. With interest rates rising, they kind of see a decrease in kind of economic activity for 2023. So we might see a little more, fewer jobs created, a little more unemployment rise just a bit. So for those of us who are trying to hire, maybe it'll be better next year. It's difficult to get people right now, and that might slow down a little bit next year. But if you want to take a look at what those revenue forecasts were for the city, because that was helping us get a gauge for how we want to set our budget for next year, that was 2 weeks ago, where we had them come in. So
pull the link and include that for folks that are interested. The really nice thing is that because you guys can go back and watch some of this, you can I know this sounds terrible, but you can fast forward through some parts and get to where you want to listen in. Especially because some of those meetings can be lengthy. So I just want you all to know that pre-recorded ones are really handy for you to go back to and scroll through to the points that you need to. But what I've done is included that link that Councilor Nurmela is referencing into the comment section. You can find the 2 weeks ago broadcast that had some of that information on the economic presentation and impacts that are currently here in our community. So Brian, I hope that answers your question. I do say AJ, thank you AJ for being on here, and Mayor Pro Tem DeMott was sharing a quick good morning message our way. Thank you for being on here as well, Mayor Pro Tem. So Councilor Nurmela, not to cut your thoughts, I know you have like a few things that you were looking through, but we are aware that there were some cancellations because of weather and some other things that happened with your community outreach effort as a council in one of your events. Is that, will that pick back up with another one at a future date, or where can people find you all now?
Yeah, a couple of things. So we had cuisine with cops. I almost got like
say that really fast.
Apparently. Cuisine with Cops was canceled last week, so it's going to be held on Thursday of this week. And I actually, maybe we can find the link to that so that it's easy for people to find. And then we also were rained out for our last movie in the park. So this next Saturday, we will have it's Friday, the 26th. Sorry, guys. I need to have a calendar in front of me. Hold on. Oh, it's next Saturday. Time is flying so fast. I thought it was this week. Next week on the 26th, Friday, at Legacy Ridge, we'll have another movie in the park. And so that's where we'll be congregating as well. And then I'm hoping after that we can offer some additional town hall or other outreach opportunities so that we are continuing to be easy to get to. I think that was the only two things that we missed weather-wise.
No, we just had some good weather come through. I mean, I'm not being sarcastic about that. It's good weather, but it makes kind of changes to scheduling. And so the Cuisine with Cops event that has been rescheduled for this Thursday on the 18th, that link is located in the chat for you all. So you can go to that directly and see exactly where they will be. The event starts at 4 o'clock. And as Mayor Pro Tem DeMott was sharing, it is the Countryside Park is where this one is. And then the other event that's the weekend after, I will find in place for you all. So you have that on hand that can be able to find the counselors. This movie in the park is Sing 2. So if you are fans of that movie or have have kiddos that might be, bring them out and have a chance to connect with our counselors as well. That link, of course, I'll quickly flash for you. So there's two links in the chat you'll find at this part of our conversation. The first is for the cuisine. The second one is for the event that's taking place on the 26th. So I do have to go ahead and give like a shameless plug, if that's okay, Counselor. We have our Chamber's State of the City event with our mayor, and that is an event in partnership with the City of Westminster and the Westminster Chamber. So if you're interested in updates and getting more of a detailed presentation in a business professional setting, our friends over at Church Ranch Event Center host this event. That's a beautiful facility, great food and everything. The link, because you do have to pre-register, so you can't just show up, is included in the chat for you to register and get your ticket for that event. So I just wanted to include that. And I think Mayor Pro Tem he has his own events on Tuesdays. So 6:30 tomorrow at Cocopelli Beer Company, Policy and Pilsner, if you're interested in connecting with him directly. Whew, that's a lot of ways that people can connect with you all, whether it's over beer, it's over an outing in the park. I mean, these are all ways that hopefully some of you can find the time, whether it's on a weekend, weeknight, a little bit earlier around happy hour, whatever it might be that works for your schedule out of all of these opportunities that are there.
Yeah. And people can always email me or just call me. God, as usual, hold on, I can find my phone. I realize I can look at my phone and find these things. I know I'm terrible about my own phone number, but when you have multiple phones.
Right? I know what that means. It's like, and it's the worst when, so many struggles with that. But you have to kind of keep it separate at the same time.
I'll put it in the chat. It's pretty pathetic that I don't know.
I can't remember this. It's okay. There's so many other things, right?
Yeah, I try and keep all my phone numbers, organized and just, if you guys think it's weird, I try and keep all the different phone number, work and personal and council all separate numbers,
right.
But that makes confusion. So
that's so funny. That's okay. For any of you that are hopping on with us, know that you can type us any questions or thoughts that you might have in the comment section. If there was a topic we didn't get to that you wanted to ask about, looks like we do have Ann Hogan. Ann's giving us a nice good morning message. Thank you, Ann, for hopping onto our broadcast today. And for those of you that did want Councilor Nurmela's phone number, that's 720-460-9277, and you can call or text her. She's very responsive from my experience with her, and I know she'd love to get back with you all. And then her email, of course, the city's email is her first initial last name at cityofwestminster.us for those of you wanting to connect. Was there anything that you did not get out there that you were hoping to get out there for folks that we wanted them to know before we start wrapping up? This always flies by whenever we get to talking.
No, that's totally fine. I think one thing that we are obviously we're continuing to work and respond to all of our community input throughout the city, whether that's improvements to open space areas or trying to help folks that are experiencing homelessness. That is a continuous effort, and again, just making sure that that we're trying to get to all of our open spaces and maintain them as well as possible. We do appreciate hearing from people when there is a significant issue. And then one thing that we are getting weekly updates on is our improvements to Lennox Court site that, if you all recall, we had the explosion there earlier this year, and that we have put aside dollars to just go and get it cleaned up. I mean, we were having a conversation about carryover, and then we just said, okay, we have a lot of carryover from last year where we didn't spend money or there were extra revenues. And so instead of just waiting for other agencies and a lot of bureaucracy to get these to accomplish what we have been waiting to see accomplished for many, many months, we are just going and getting that Actually, we're bringing a contract tonight in a special meeting to go ahead and have the start the cleanup.
Sure. Thank you so much for that update. That's been a concern of several folks that are impacted directly or maybe indirectly from that. If that transpired, and you're right, there's a lot of steps and processes generally when something of that magnitude happens in the way that it happened. But it's nice to see some flexibility and maybe that proactive interest in council to try to accommodate for that to be expedited. So if that is of interest to you all, hopefully you're paying attention to some of those conversations. I know that's been carried through in a lot of those public meetings, and hopefully we'll be able to see that reporting from this private one after that's been done. But I have with me Councilor Nurmela today. I don't see any questions that have come through our way, so I think we have touched on all things back to school to city happenings and news and updates for community outreach. But if you all have tuned in on this broadcast maybe later and had a thought that you didn't get out there, or maybe had a question you didn't want others to know that you were asking, it's totally okay to email our page. We encourage you to do that. Send a private message. We'll get that to our guests today and get you that answer taken care of. And if it's a comment that's publicly posted later on and you give us that hashtag replay so we can find it quicker, then we'll respond to you publicly. So that way people that are also as curious can have that answer and can have it on hand. Of course, there are a lot of ways that you can engage with our counselors outside of this evening's meeting that they have virtually in person. You can find them at a number of programs and events, including this week's Thursday event, next week's Wednesday event with us, and then the following Saturday, and then their own personal events that they throw in ways that you can directly dial them. Councilor Nurmela, thank you for being on here with me, having three kiddos that are all in sports and in different places, and just running your own life and being an employee as well and working in local government. I know that your schedule is precious and your time is precious, so I appreciate you finding the time to be on here with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. So we will be back on here on Wednesday with a newer partner of ours, and then giving you guys another update by next Monday. But I appreciate you all for tuning in. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye-bye.